The last I saw of Count Dracula was his kissing his hand to me, with the red light of triumph in his eyes, and with a smile that Judas in hell might be proud of. Bram Stoker, Dracula. Welcome to Books in the Freezer, a podcast dedicated to the deliciously disturbing world of horror fiction. I'm your host, Stephanie, and today I am joined by friend and returning guest, Annette, to talk about some Dracula retellings. So, Annette, I bid you welcome.
Thank you. I'm very excited.
I have been excited to talk to you about this, especially because you are like when I think of you, you are such a vampire girly.
Oh yeah. Oh, I love vampires and like any vampire story, I will just devour.
I know you have that post of I think you have more than one post about like the zodiac vampire
Yeah.
characters that you post. That's
Yeah,
always fun.
yeah. Like a vampire, like a literary vampire for each zodiac sign. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fun. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
Uh
picked for my this is a thing when you make those kinds of posts, you always get to pick your own favorite character for
yeah.
your own zodiac signs. I kind of did that too. Yeah.
Yeah. I got to. Who's Taurus?
It's Ellie from Let the Right One In.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we are talking Dracula by Bram Stoker.
Yes.
A classic novel that has just spawned so many iterations and inspirations in horror. But I want to ask, like, what was your experience reading the book Dracula?
So long story short, I started reading back in your university, but I ended up spending like 12 years and 3 paperbacks getting through it for some reason. Um, And at the end of it, I just wanted to get through it. And I don't remember exactly what I got out of it. But a couple of years ago, I reread it and I listened to an audio production, which was really, really good. And that kind of gave me a new experience. So it had like Alan Cumming as Dr. Seward, it had Tim Curry as Van Helsing. And yeah, I feel like I got a lot more out of it.
I could see that.
Like I had it as a grown up, as opposed to someone who just dipped in and out every now and then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a really good audio production. I remember listening to that when I worked my night job, and something with all the voice actors coming in, it just brings it
Mm,
to life.
yeah.
The first time I read it was in high school, and I had one of those like mass I still have it, the same one, the Barnes and Noble classics, like mass market
Oh yeah.
paperback. I remember in high school, I was really trying to read more classics and be well read, but I feel like I struggled with a lot of them. Like there's
Yeah.
some of them are just hard to read, especially for a teenager. And like, I remember I really wanted to read Jane Austen, but having to like train my brain to take in that prose and that type of storytelling, I just wasn't always up to the task. But I remember I picked up Dracula and I remember being immediately sucked in because it's this epistolary thing. Like, we open up with Jonathan on a train going to this castle, and all the locals are like, don't go, and they're like praying over him, and like every single person he comes across is like, I was just immediately sucked into this story. So it's funny because for me, Dracula is like, oh, I can read classics. I can
Yeah.
do that. And
Yeah.
classics
Yeah.
can be
Yeah.
fun.
Yes. And it's so weird, like growing up, I always like I knew what Dracula was. I'd seen stuff inspired by it, but going back to the actual book, that was a lot of fun, like seeing where it came from, what the sources. Yeah. Back when I did did my reread, I just wanted to say before I forget, you and I share a birthday, May 4th.
Yeah.
And according to Dracula, May 4th is the night all the evil things in the world have full sway. And that was
Ooh.
the funniest things I read in that reread.
This is why we like horror, you know? We were born on the night in which all evil things in the world have
Yeah.
full sway.
It explains a lot. Yeah.
We'll talk about this later, but I feel like, yeah, growing up, there was so many weird, like, iterations of Dracula, and I became really, like, pedantic and protective over Dracula. And I remember, like, the movie Van Helsing came out, and I'm like, "I'm sorry, none of this happens in the book.
Right.
That's actually not accurate." I'm not
You're
like that
that
now.
person.
I'm not that person now. I've grown up,
Like,
but, like, oh my gosh, I was so
and
annoyed.
just the fact that he doesn't die from direct sunlight, that was like one of the things I
Yeah,
was like, huh, really? Because he just loses his like ability to shapeshift and his super strength and all of that stuff, but he can still just walk around as a person. Well,
yeah.
kind of person. Yeah.
It is interesting to see how much of it has, like, evolved over time with storytelling,
Mm,
but I wanted to ask, like, why do you think we keep going back to it? I feel like every few years there's some type of version of this story coming out.
yeah. I thought about this when you put this in the document. I couldn't say, so I had to do like a Google search. So they have like some answers, but what I decided on for me is that all these characters, I mean, first of all, it's a great story, but
Yeah.
all these characters, I feel like they all have like some background information that makes you kind of want to know more. Like Quincy, as a Quincy Morris, I think his name. You know that he's from Texas. He has this, like, he's been an adventurer for a long time, but we don't really know more about it. And we know that Dr. Seward has studied under Van Helsing at some point. They all have these little tidbits that makes you think, like, what more is there to, you could easily write like a fan fiction or a retelling based on that. So that was the first thing I thought of.
Yeah, absolutely, because looking at all these like, looking at least at my picks, none of my picks are a straight Dracula retelling.
Yeah.
They're focusing on an aspect or a side character.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that a lot. Like we have the Van Helsing movie, Renfield.
Hmm.
I feel like there's a lot of re-examining of the character of Lucy.
Yep.
And, I think we've had a few recent things about the Voyage of the Demeter. Like it's
Hmm.
just, you're right. There's so many of these things that give you just enough that you're like, wait, wait, wait. I want to know
Yeah.
more about that. And that's just
Exactly,
something
yeah.
that it does so well. It's so much so that people are like, I don't care about Jonathan Harker and
Right.
Dracula.
So I did a search, and this is what the internet says, which I'm sure is substantial too. Like, it's about the anxieties of plague and sexuality, which is
Mhm.
timeless. There's a seductive monster, and there's this modernity versus tradition and superstition. Like, you have the gang who fight Dracula, and you have Dracula, so they kind of have these opposite values or qualities. And
Yeah,
those are things that, we can pick up 125 years later.
absolutely. I mean, also like the xenophobia of like an
Yep.
outsider coming in.
Hmm.
And I feel like, there's always the xenophobic talking points of like them coming over here and like taking the white women, like
Yep.
seducing them. Yeah, with him bringing his like literal earth
Hmm.
from his homeland on the ship. And you're right, them combating him with like the alchemy in Van Helsing and doing like blood transfusions. That was all like, yeah, very modern stuff compared to
Hmm.
this like ancient power and force. Yeah.
Yeah. There are also things in the story, especially, like, I found myself so drawn to the story of Lucy on my second
Hmm.
reading. Like, how she's back then in 1897, she is described as this, like, a very pure treasure of a woman, and she's been infected. She's turning into this wild sort of sexual creature, the vampire. And the men in her life protect her. They give her blood to make her survive this thing, which she doesn't, of course. And in the end, they save her. They save her soul by chopping off her head. But seen with contemporary eyes, I feel like she's infantilized. She's kept
Mhm.
in the dark about her own situation. She is not allowed to make any decisions, informed decisions. And in the end, she is forced into this idea of what the men want her to be. So I
Mhm.
feel like there is so much to talk about just there, just seeing it
Yeah,
from a different time than back then.
absolutely. Um, I wish I could say I had a progressive reading on Lucy as a teenager, but I was very steeped in purity culture and
Sure. Yeah.
patriarchal
Yeah.
religion
Yeah.
that I was like, and Mina's a good girl, and that's why
Yeah.
nothing happens to
Hmm.
her. And so that's who I
Exactly.
relate to.
Yeah.
Lucy is flirty, so sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I hate to say that I was like, that's how I thought. That's how I viewed things, where she was
Sure.
this like cautionary tale in a way, even though,
Hmm.
like, for what? Like, she was preyed upon.
Yeah, she was. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man. But yeah, you're right. The every time I've gone back through it, I see her so differently. And that's why I mean, you and I think each have a Lucy pick.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
know, it's been something that people are going back to and seeing so much in this character and how differently she's read now.
Yep. Yeah. There's so many different like experiences you can bring to Lucy, I think.
Mhm.
Um and my one of my picks really, yeah, tells her story. I'll get back to that, of course, but yeah, I think it's very interesting seeing her through a very different lens.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah, and something that I discovered just very recently. Someone told me that there is this thing online. I think there is a book as well, but there is a Substack called Dracula Daily, where
Yeah.
you can get the chapters mailed to you on the actual dates that they happen in the story. So that sounds like a lot of fun. Fun
Oh,
way
that's
to
so
reread
cool.
it.
And then on May 4th, you can hear all about
Yeah.
the night in which all evil things in the world have sway.
Yes.
You know what? Don't come at us anymore with May the 4th be with you, Star Wars
No.
Day. This is what I want.
Yes.
But yeah, speaking of iterations, I mean, should we talk about some movies? There's a lot.
Yes. Oh,
And I'm
plenty.
gonna be honest, I've watched a few, but
Hmm.
like I'm not super well versed in the like Universal or Hammer horror era. I've seen like some, and I do think Christopher Lee is maybe one of my favorite Draculas just because I think he's hot.
Yeah.
Is that enough? Is that enough of a
That's
reason?
enough. That is plenty.
um, but I did watch Renfield, which came out, I want to say like a year or two ago with Nicholas Hoult and Nicolas Cage as Dracula, which I thought was really a fun, good role for him. And it's so funny, the framing that it's modern day and Renfield has been Dracula's familiar for like hundreds of years. And it's this like really toxic
Yeah.
relationship, obviously. And he's going to a support group for people in codependent relationships.
Yep.
And he's using this group um, it's very like, I don't know, sweet in a way. Like he's targeting people in the group's awful partners, um,
Oh, that's right. I've
and
forgotten all
having
about that.
Dracula go after them for for food. So he's like clearing his conscience in a way of like, these are like bad people.
Right?
But then in the group, you know, it's his turn to share. And actually, like his relationship is also codependent and toxic.
Oh, yeah. Really toxic.
Oh my gosh. And it cracked me up when like the facilitator is saying like, and if you just draw a boundary and stop feeding into this dynamic, Nickel like Renfield is like he won't grow to full power.
Right, yeah,
And
and they're
he's like
like, "Yeah, that's
they're like,
right,
"That's
you're
right." They're
right."
like, what a weird way to say that." But okay. Like, it's a comedy. The tone of it is really funny, and then it becomes this, he teams up with, like, Aquafina, who's a cop, and they're
Right.
taking down this, like, mob family, and it becomes, like, John Wick levels of violent with, like, people's heads getting ripped off and, like, people exploding, so it's just, like, really funny, over the top.
Very over the top. Isn't there, like, a scene towards the end, where there's, like a one-shot thing where you can see, like, this it's just like a symphony of violence
Yes.
and killing, yeah, yeah.
But anyway, I had a really good time with that.
Yeah.
Um, and I know recently we had The Last Voyage of the Demeter, which I haven't watched. Did you end up watching this?
Um, I did, I didn't finish it, which isn't a great, advertisement for the film, but just for me, it didn't work.
Yeah.
That's not to say that, I mean, I think people should check it out because it's an interesting take on it. You
Yeah.
follow a doctor who gets passage on the Demeter from Varna, and I don't know, like they it's a classic Demeter story, but they kind of make some changes and make it more interesting. And it's directed by a Norwegian
Oh,
director, so that's cool.
that is
So
cool.
yeah, check that out.
Oh, yeah. Congrats on Sentimental Value. You guys
Oh
all
yeah,
stoked?
that was so. You have no idea how huge that is for Norway. That's like everything on the news was about that for a couple of days. So yeah,
Oh,
that
that's
was
so
fun.
fun. That was on
Yeah.
my Oscar ballot. I said Sentimental
Oh, was
Value is gonna
it? Oh,
win Best
cool.
Foreign Film.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, that's cool.
but anyway, sorry.
No, no, that's fine. That's fine.
And then, oh, I rewatched we put it on this list. I
Mhm.
rewatched Dracula 2000, and you had a funny note in here that I think we need to talk about.
Yes. So, Norway has a strange tradition of like translating or renaming films into like just the silliest and stupidest things. So what in Norway back then the film came out the year after, so of course it was renamed Dracula 2001. So that's how I so when I like got older because I was a teenager back then. When I got older it's like what is this Dracula 2000? I've never heard of it. But, it was the same
That's
film.
so funny.
It is.
Yeah, I rewatched this, and if you are in the mood for something that scratches that, like, very late 90s, 2000s horror itch, this is it. One of the things I liked about it was I think it really did a good job with the aesthetic blend of, like, the ancient
Mhm.
Dracula with, like, there's these hackers breaking into this building with like long leather coats and they're like hacking into the system to get into this vault. What's in the vault? A coffin with Dracula.
Yup.
Van Helsing was trying to guard it this whole time and they set him loose. Gerard Butler is
Yeah.
Dracula and he is coming after Van Helsing's daughter who looks like his wife. The classic, like we do the retelling. He's always
Mm,
got to go after like a modern woman who looks like his wife.
mhm,
In this case, it is Van Helsing's daughter who is living with her roommate Lucy in New Orleans, and they
mm.
both work at the Virgin store selling like
Okay.
CDs and
Right, right.
movies. Very, very the year 2000.
It's been
Um,
so long since I've seen it, but I love your recap. I'm like, I'm wrapped.
I mean, it's ridiculous. One of the only scene I really remembered going into this was Dracula and Lucy have sex and they like float up to the ceiling during
Oh,
the
that's
scene. And I was
right.
like, all right, that's pretty iconic. That's
Wow,
pretty sick.
yeah, that is iconic.
um, oh, there's a twist at the end that made me groan, though. I wanted to throw tomatoes at my
Oh, that's
TV.
right. Oh, I just
Oh my
remembered.
God.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna spoil it here because
Yes.
this movie is 26 years old and I don't
Mm-hmm.
think it really takes away from watching it.
No.
So Van Helsing's daughter is, doing research and looking into things, and she says, "Oh, the reason that he hates crucifixes and silver is because He was Judas Iscariot.
Yep.
And yeah, it flashback to like him being hanged as Judas Iscariot and like not being able to die, and
Mm.
somehow that turns him into Dracula. And I said, boo. I don't know. I feel like I heard I felt a writer being like, "Ooh, that's good."
Yeah,
Like they were so proud of themselves.
I think so.
What
Yeah.
is this? But there's so much in like the Dracula universe that I haven't seen. Like, I have friends who like really love the old movie Dracula's Daughters. I have a mutual who has like a tattoo of it. I've
Oh
never
wow.
seen it.
I've
Yeah,
never seen it either. No.
yeah. I feel
I
like the
got
2000s had like a lot because we had like Dracula Untold, we had Van
yeah.
Helsing, we
Yeah. I kind of liked.
Castlevania.
Oh
It's a video
yeah.
game, but I mean, like,
Right, right, right.
it's just culturally everywhere.
Huh. Huh, that's interesting. Like, what was it about the 2000s that made people extra interested?
I don't
Hmm.
know. Yeah.
I kind of liked Dracula Untold back when I watched it. It tells like it kind of presents the mortal count as like this warlord, but he's a loving father and husband, and when there's a threat to his kingdom and to his family, that's why he seeks out vampirism, so that he'll have the strength to protect them. So that's where
Mm,
they go with it, which is interesting. I mean,
yeah.
it was fine.
Oh, yeah, we had Nosferatu come out a few years
Oh
ago.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
it also came out, like, 100 years ago, but
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah. I thought it was really interesting about because I read a book about how I am reading rather a book about how the First World War influenced horror, modern horror,
Oh,
and
yeah.
the 1922 original apparently was one of the first horror movies made by World War I veterans. So this whole like idea of the dead body was turned on its head after the war because of all the stuff that happened. But Orlok was apparently absolutely terrifying for audiences because he wasn't alive, he wasn't dead.
Yeah.
He was like a dead body moving around, and the whole idea of a plague, and people had been through the
Oh, yeah,
Spanish
the
flu.
flu.
Yeah, so that made a huge impact back then.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's the fun fact that it was like, they had to change the names because they just basically made it Dracula and then just changed the names, and they're
Yeah,
like,
just
nobody
change.
will
Yeah.
notice." It's
No.
fine.
It's like a fanfic where like this is a great story, but we can't use the actual names.
Yeah. Did you like the new Nosferatu?
I did.
I
I
did too.
really enjoyed it. Yeah.
I
I
had a
thought it
good
was
time with
great.
it. Also, Nicholas Holt out be out here in all the
Yeah,
modern
yeah, yeah.
Dracula
Oh yeah, that's right.
stories.
Yes.
He's always working though. He's always popping
He
up and
is.
stuff.
Yeah. He's really great at like
Yeah,
acting like he's afraid, like terrified.
he
Like
does.
in the
He's
menu as well, like when he's cooking, like he has to cook because the main chef
oh
is like, oh, go ahead, you love cooking, go ahead, show us what you can do. He was so scared and so like broken, and also
I mean, that
in
was memed. I mean, sad that it was memed, but I mean, like,
oh,
it's
was
so
it?
effective. Like, he's just portraying, exactly what he's portraying just with his eyes. Like, his eyes
Yeah,
get so
yeah,
big,
very expressive.
and you
Yeah,
know exactly that he's terrified.
yeah, yeah. And there's also, of course, the Bram Stoker's
Oh,
Dracula film
yeah.
with Gary Oldman and Keanu Reeves, by the way, just in
Yeah.
case someone
I
hadn't
have not
forgotten.
forgotten about that accent work. Um,
Oh, that's special.
oh, that is special. Gary Oldman was a great Dracula. I think about his tiny glasses
Yeah.
often.
Hmm.
Um, oh, and the Lucy in that
Yeah.
is so monstrous and
She
iconic, and her like
is.
frilly dress covered in blood. Like,
Mhm.
I love her.
Yes. Oh, that's an amazing scene. That's really, really well done. I think it's so like heady. I feel like that film is so like visually heady, and also the score. It's like so
Mhm.
mighty and like intense.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't seen that in years, but it's pretty cool for what it's doing, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's also a Dracula's miniseries from 2020,
I do remember
which,
this.
yeah, right? Yeah. What
It
did
was
you
the
think about it?
I liked it. It's the one that, like, starts off with him, like, being rescued by nuns, right? Like,
Yeah,
I do remember that, where he's, like, at the convent and they're convalescing he's
yeah,
convalescing there, and he's, like, telling them his
that's
story.
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He's yeah, like the first episode, I think, is like Jonathan Harker telling them his account of what happened, and then it kind
Mhm.
of goes on
Yeah.
from that point. I think it's like 3 or 4 episodes. I really like the changes they made, and I thought their take on Lucy was pretty scary, honestly.
Yeah.
Like her fate, I thought that was spooky. And it's made by Mark Gatiss, who created Sherlock.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, he was in Penny Dreadful, but that was kind of like a big amalgamation of, like, all big gothic characters
Yep.
of that time,
Hmm.
which was really fun. I really liked that
I really
as a
liked it too.
concept, like, um,
Yeah.
Dorian Gray and Dracula and, like, all these stories being put
Mm,
together
yeah.
in
On
Victorian England.
Frankenstein. Yeah.
Yeah,
Did you watch Dracula: A Love Tale, which
I
came
did
out last year?
not, no.
That's a really cool one because it has like it's directed by Luc Besson, who is a French director. So he made a few changes, like he brings Dracula to Paris instead of London. They speak English all the way through, but it's set to Paris, and um, Van Helsing is a priest. Um, but at the same time, they have like they're very inspired by the 1992 Dracula with Gary
Ooh,
Oldman, like the same
okay.
kind of visuals. Um, but they do some really interesting things that I just think anyone who has an interest for Dracula, anything to do with Dracula, should definitely check that one out. It's very good.
Okay, I will check that out. And then you told me about this, Dracula performance that was happening.
Yeah, so Cynthia Erivo from Wicked is, as we speak, is doing a one-woman show of Dracula in London. Um, and she is playing 23 characters.
Alright.
And I started thinking, like, are there 23, as many as 23 characters in Dracula the book? And I'm not
She's
sure, but
Romanian villager 1,
yes,
and she's
exactly. Yeah. Yeah, must be something like that. But that's really interesting. Like, I've seen some photos from the production, and they have like video screens where she's already taped herself as a character, and then she's on the stage
Oh, okay.
interacting. And then there's like,
Interesting.
yeah. So they do it in that way then, and
Okay,
that
so
sounds.
it's not like, David Hasselhoff doing, like, Jekyll and Hyde, where it's, like, one side of his face, and then he turns, like,
Oh
the
no.
other side of his face.
No. Looks really professionally done, and
Oh,
I'm
that's
just.
so cool. I know you messaged me, you're like, "Should we go to London?"
Yeah.
Like, I
Like jump on a
wish.
plane. Yeah. Oh
Oh,
man,
man.
yeah. That must be
Yeah,
amazing seeing
yeah.
that. She's
Listeners,
so
if
good.
any of you have been able to go to that,
Oh
you
yeah.
have a duty to
Yep.
tell us how it was. Yeah, there's just a lot, and I think it's just funny to think about even Dracula as a character, like, just popping up in things here and there, because I really loved, like, the '80s, Scooby-Doo movies, like
Mm,
Scooby-Doo and the Ghoul School and Scooby-Doo and the Reluctant Werewolf, my 2 favorites, but
right.
Dracula, like, pops up as a character in those, and I'm like, "You know what? Sure."
Why not? Yeah.
Like, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, I think he's,
Oh
like, a
yeah.
character in that. He's a character in, like, Blade Trinity, he be popping up.
Oh, and he was also in an episode of Buffy. Like
Oh.
one episode. He's explained as like this kind of weirdo vampire who's been like dabbling in magic, and that's why he has these extra powers. But he's in
Oh.
one episode. So he made
Okay.
an appearance there too.
Listen, he is booked and busy.
Yes, yes.
I love that. Well, should we talk about some books?
Yes.
Okay. I read a book I have been meaning to read for a few years, so I'm glad this episode finally pushed me to do it. And that is A Route of Ice and Salt by Jose Luis Zarate. And Sylvia Moreno Garcia, I think it was, she played a big part in getting this like translated into
Hmm.
English. And I know like she was the person I heard about this book from.
Right.
And I guess this is a book that's been like a cult classic in Mexico for several, years. And it's
Yeah.
just kind of within the last decade made its way over here. But this is a novella. This was translated from Spanish by David Bowles. And the retelling in this part is the Voyage of the Demeter, which is a lot of fun. And you know what? When I was reading all the times that I've read Dracula, I've thought like this is a horror novel because you're following like Jonathan Harker and you're following like, all these characters, all these letters, you're following like Lucy and Mina, and then it's a ship captain and you're like, "Wait, what? Like what are we doing? What is
Yeah.
this?" And then they just get like so harrowing, and like the men start disappearing, like weird things start happening. It becomes this like tale of paranoia, and then like a ship with no crew just like shows up.
Yeah.
Like you're like, "Oh, that is a horror story." And it is, you're right, like one of those things that leaves you as a reader being like, "Wait, but what happened
Yeah.
there?"
Yeah. Yeah.
And so this is focusing on that. It's epistolary from the captain's point of view. And I will say this is a book with a lot of queer desire. The captain is really wrestling with his homosexuality. And I'm going to be honest, that's a big part of the book is just his like desire for these men and his feelings about having this desire and like existing as a homosexual man
Mm.
in this time.
Yeah.
And it goes off and like he has these, we were talking about this earlier, like these sections where you're like, wait, was that a dream or did you
Yeah.
actually do that? Because that's interesting.
He's a horny guy. I think that's safe to say.
Oh my gosh, this book is so horny, and I
Yeah.
think, like, we messaged each other, and you're like, "Have you read it yet? This book is very horny." And I was like, "Okay, like, I'm excited to get to this." Yeah, I was l listening to this, and I would look and be like, "I'm 60% through this book, and it has just been horny." Like,
What?
nothing has really happened yet, and, like, things have been introduced, but I'm like, it's just, like, 90% horniness so far, like,
Constant.
just and it's beautifully written, it's very,
It
like,
is.
lyrical, like, he fantasizes about, like, licking salt off of men's skin, and you're like, "Okay, I see
Hmm.
you."
It's all about salt. Like
Yeah,
everything is about salt. Like body salt,
the
sea salt.
sweat and,
Yeah, yeah.
listener, I'm
Hmm.
sure you can continue that train of thought. But, yeah, and then, it, like, really ramps up and that, you have these, like, sexy dreams, possibly not dreams, and there's like a mysterious figure that he feels like over him, and you knowing this is like a Dracula story, you're like, and then it gets to the end and it's like, oh shit, like people are disappearing and stuff is going on, like everyone's getting paranoid, everyone like thinks that they've seen something. I'm really glad I finally got around to reading this, so I'm glad this pushed me to that.
Yeah, and I thought the audiobook was really good. I
It
thought
was
that
really
guy's
good.
voice was so like it felt like he was kind of feeling the stuff that he was
Yeah.
portraying.
Yeah, and that
Yeah,
makes or breaks an audiobook when, like,
it
that
does.
the narrator is, like, really not afraid to, like, get into it and emote with the characters.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, listen, if you love, like, yearning and queer desire and horny prose and
Yeah.
Dracula, listen,
Hmm.
this is the book for you.
Yep, it is.
I had a good time with it. That was A Route of Ice and Salt by Jose Luis Zarate.
Mhm.
Oh, and I would say probably room temperature because
Yeah.
horror-wise, there's not I mean, it's all condensed to like the last little bit.
Yeah,
But
I
listen,
agree.
sometimes you just want a little horny book. There you go.
So my first pick is Lucy Undying by Kiersten White. It's a queer feminist retelling of Dracula. We follow a dual timeline. So we have the POV of Lucy Westenra from the time where she's dying in 1897, um, and everything that happens in Dracula, but we also follow her throughout her undead life after the men of the original story thought that they had ended her. So it kind of goes in a different way from the original story. So we see her explore the things that she was denied in her human life, and we also see her sort of break away from this, infantilized state that she was in, that the people in her life put her in, essentially. Um, and the second POV follows a woman named Iris in 2019. She is a very troubled young woman who is running away from her suffocating family in the US. We meet her as she has just landed in London, and she's looking to sell an old building that's been in her family for generations to provide her with a bit of cash so that she can disappear. Um, but as she starts looking around the house for valuable antiques that she can sell, she finds a hidden 125-year-old secret diary of a young woman who used to live in the house. And these two stories sort of merge after a while, and I really enjoyed it. As someone who, I felt like the story of Lucy didn't sit quite right with me. So getting this retelling is sort of getting, I felt like Lucy got the ability to live and to sort of explore and be herself more in this story. And I really, really appreciated that. So I would put it maybe in room temperature, but there are some spooky scenes. So yeah, mainly
Oh,
room temperature.
oh, I love that. I feel like Kirsten White is really good at that because she also wrote The Dark
Yes.
Descent of Elizabeth Frankenstein,
Yep.
which I really liked. And she took a character who is a very sidelined character we don't hear much from in the story and like really fleshed out her whole
Yeah.
inner world and gave her agency. So
Yes.
that's
The,
cool. Like this is one that's been on my radar.
mm. Ooh, I want to show you. You've probably seen the cover, but I have the actual physical book.
Ooh, that is
And it's just
pretty.
beautiful. And like you can see, I'm holding up the book, the hardcover book, and there's a painting of Lucy, which is so like ethereal
Oh
and
yeah.
gauzy. And her long blonde hair has like these. At first, I thought they were like gemstones or something, pearls, but they are actually the eyes of wolves, and you can see the shape of wolves'
Oh.
teeth in her hair. And there are like bats underneath, and she's wearing this huge, lush red dress. Oh, it's beautiful. Absolutely recommend that book.
Mhm. I love that. Okay, my next pick is also a book that I had been meaning to get to for a long time, so I'm glad this episode finally pushed me to do
Yeah,
it.
go.
And that was Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson, and I loved this. So, this is told from the point of view of one of Dracula's brides, which, in the book, we really only get like a scene or two from, or like, they don't feature as heavily as you
No.
might think. But as a reader, you're like, wait, 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 what's going on there?
Yeah, yeah.
This story is, again, very sexy and lyrical, but it starts off with um, Dracula marrying his first bride. And, like they're together for so many years, like the relationship is kind of like hot and cold. There's some controlling nature, there's some abusive dynamics. And then, he does that thing where he's like, what if we open this up a little bit and bring another person into the mix? And it's interesting because there is some current discourse about this happening
Yeah.
now about the ethics of like consent in a polyamorous relationship if it started out as monogamous.
Hmm.
Anyway, so she doesn't have a lot of say in the matter, but like they bring another woman into this relationship, and then we're following this polyamorous relationship. And they, uh, many years later, open it up and bring a young man into the relationship, and it's all like very bisexual, like, everyone's hooking up with everyone. This book is really about like the toxic relationship dynamics and gaslighting. Like there's a lot of
Mm.
trigger warnings up front about like, this type of abuse and abusive relationships. And I saw someone say that ST Gibson was so good that as the reader, I felt gaslit because, Dracula would do something and he'd be like, okay, but he feels kind of hot though. Like he's written to be like, maybe I get it a little bit. And it's like, wait, what? Am I being gaslit?
That's really clever. That's really clever writing.
One thing I thought was like really funny is that, you are kind of following them through centuries, and someone mentions the Harkers, and the first bride is like, ugh, that was a mess that happened like years ago. We don't like to talk about it. Like, don't worry about them. Ugh, that's ancient history. And I was like, I see what you did there. But it is about like, whether maybe they decide to join forces against Dracula and to get fed up and
Oh,
decide to do something about it. Mm,
that sounds good.
yeah.
That's always good.
Yeah. So
Well,
I really liked it. Like if you're looking for something that is like a little like sensual and lyrical and atmospheric and also a bit of rage in there,
yeah.
like this is a good one. So that is
Cool.
Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. And again, I would say this is room temperature. So I'd say the horror
Yeah.
is not really the main focus of the
Hmm.
story.
Where would you put Dracula itself?
I don't know, maybe room temperature or fridge. I think some parts are
Yeah.
like fridge worthy.
Yeah. I think I started thinking about this like when I reread it. Uh the bit with Jonathan, I think, was the spookiest bit. Like when
Oh, we're
he's
in the
trapped in the
beginning.
capsule. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he has,
It's
like,
really scary.
bars on his window,
Yeah.
and there's, like, wolves
Hmm.
outside.
Yeah, and like that stray castle wall, there's nowhere to go, and the
Yeah,
count is like, "Oh, I need you to write these 3 letters to your fiance, and date them like a couple of weeks ahead." And he's like, Why would I do that?"
and you're
Well,
gonna tell them
it's
that you're so happy and perfectly
yeah,
fine.
you're fine. You're on your way home or something like that, and it's just, oh, that's creepy. But I think maybe like the entire Dracula story isn't like super scary, seen from
Mhm.
our point of view. And so maybe retellings have the same kind of spooky scale. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if, yeah, just a thought. Mhm.
yeah.
So my second pick is The Historian by Elizabeth Kostova. Um, this story is interesting because it blends the historical Wallachian ruler Vlad Tepes with the vampire that Bram Stoker created. So the story starts with a young teenage girl who finds a strange book and a stack of letters in her father's library. And all the letters start with the phrase, "To my dear and unfortunate successor." And all of this opens up a story that follows 3 different and intertwined narratives. The first is an academic in the 1930s trying to find the origins of a mysterious leather bound book that he has received. And he's also trying to find traces of the historical Vlad Tepes. The second, it's kind of hard to keep these narratives straight, but I'll try. And the second narrative is a pair of academics in 1950s trying to discover what happened to this guy in the 1930s and his research. And the third narrative is this girl. It's set in the 1970s. She's following her father's footsteps, and trying to unravel not only what happened to her mom, but also discovering these unsettling signs that the historical Vlad Tepes might be an actual vampire. So it's all very like There's academia. It's all set to like the 20th century. There's a lot of traveling around Europe on train. There's like archives, libraries. I just really liked it. It's pretty long. I think it's like 700 pages or something. And I kind of struggled going in, but I felt like it moved pretty quickly. And I just loved like the whole setting and this whole new take on Dracula retellings.
I've seen this, and yeah, I've definitely been intimidated by the sheer
Yeah.
size of it.
Yeah.
And I look at it and I'm like, I don't know. But everyone I've heard that has read this has loved it.
It's very good. It's very impressive like how she
Yeah,
actually keeps all of this info and all of these narrative threads going and making sense.
yeah.
So yeah. This is definitely a room temperature book.
My final official pick is Reluctant Immortals by Gwendolyn Kiste, which came out a few years ago. And I thought this was such an interesting angle. First of all, I love the cover. I have the paperback, and it's that like
Oh yeah.
psychedelic color with like, the side profile of a woman's face. And it's very
Yeah.
like 60s. Like, you think of like hippie flower power.
Yeah.
But this is following Lucy Wisterna and Bertha Mason from Jane Eyre, The Wife in the Attic, and they are living together in Haight Ashbury, like San Francisco, in the 60s.
That's cool.
They are like roommates, and they bond over the fact that they have run away from like the toxic men in their life. Obviously for Lucy, Dracula, and for Bertha, Mr. Rochester.
Hmm.
And Lucy keeps like several urns of Dracula's ashes in her apartment, like all separated, to keep him from ever reanimating, and, to keep other people who would like to reanimate him. Like it's something that, she stresses about and thinks about. And there was a lot of like interesting takes on this. Like both of them have this effect on their setting, like in their apartment, where like their presence degrades it, and they have to
Hmm.
like constantly like fix it up. um this was like a really interesting look at the power dynamics, and like what it's like to try to move forward after being in a toxic relationship, and how that affects your life, and how you're always like looking over your shoulder
Hmm.
a little bit, like the type of mark it leaves on you. And getting to know more about these women and flesh them out a little bit more, like both women that are in these stories but aren't the main characters.
Yeah.
And if you're someone who's read the books, like there's appearances from Renfield and Jane Eyre.
Cool.
So it's fun. Like I had a good time with this. And I would say, yeah, it's like room temperature. That was Reluctant Immortals by Gwendolyn Kiste.
That sounds really good. I haven't. It's been on my list forever, and I haven't gotten to it. So that might have to move up a few places. So my last pick is a short story by Joe Hill. It's only like 35 pages long, but I thought it was incredibly well done because it's called Abram's Boys, and it's set 18 years after Dracula. Um, so Van Helsing lives on a farm in the rural US. His wife is dead, and he has a really strained relationship with his sons. He has two sons. He is desperately trying to instill in them the danger of the vampire and how to fight against darkness. And because this story is only 35 pages, I don't want to say a whole lot, but I can say this. The story asks very skillfully, did Van Helsing fight vampires back in Europe? Is everything he says true? Or is he a serial killer of women trying to transfer his delusions onto his sons?
Ooh.
It's really well done. Really well done. And there's actually been made a film out of this called Abram's Boys. And I thought that was well done too. It adds a few elements because they sort of need more to fill out an hour and 20 minutes, I think it is. But I thought that was well done as well, and tight as well. Ver plays Van Helsing, and is really good. Like as this dad who is like he's trying, but he's not really a good, great dad by any means, and he's this obsessed guy. I thought he did that really well. The short story is just like I think it's a masterpiece. I think if you have like a little while to just read something short and really good, pick up Abram's Boys by Joe
Ooh,
Hill.
okay.
I would put that in the fridge actually. Yeah.
Okay. My honorable mention is also a short story, and it's from Gwendolyn Kiste's upcoming
Mm.
short story collection, The Haunted
Oh,
Houses She Calls Her Own.
cool.
And the story is called The Eight People Who Murdered Me, an
Oh,
excerpt from Lucy Westerna's diary. And
wow.
yeah, it's very good. It's very like I was emotionally sucked in right away because it's Lucy writing essentially to the people that like let her down in
Yeah.
her life. And so the first section is you. And the next section is my mom. You know,
Hmm.
like she's really going through like these are the ways in which like your actions led to what happened to me. So
Oh, that sounds that sounds so interesting. That point of view. Oof.
yeah, I loved this short story collection.
My first honorable mention is also by Kiersten White. It's her new novel that just got released this year, The Fox and the Devil. It's a standalone set to the same world as Lucy Undying.
Okay.
Um, like it has, like you can tell it's the same universe, but it's completely standalone. It's also queer and feminist, and the story follows Anneke van Helsing, who's the
Mm-hmm.
daughter of Abraham. She's a skilled detective solving crimes, and she's obsessively hunting a woman called Diavola or Diavola. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce that. Who killed her father? So she and a group of friends and colleagues they travel across Europe, always one step behind Diavola and her crimes. And what's cool about this story is that from the beginning, you jump between chapters sort of depicting Annika's journey and jumping ahead to the World Fair in Paris in 1900. And you can tell like from these chapters from Paris that this is where the story is going to end up. So you kind of get you build up the story through Annika's point of view, but also from these small chapters interspersed in the story. So it all kind of culminates at the World's Fair in Paris. So really good story. I would recommend that.
Hmm. Interesting. A book I wish I would have been able to get to for this episode that's come out, I want to say this year, last year, was the of Monsters and Mainframes. Did you end up reading that?
I read like I think I've read like a third maybe of it,
Okay, because
but
that's a Voyage of the Demeter retelling.
yeah, Demeter is a spaceship,
Yeah.
and Seward is her medbay AI. So she's an AI, like a spaceship AI, and Seward is a different one. So they like have these sort of binary code fights, and it's like this huge. Like I said, I haven't finished it, but it takes like all these classic monsters and put them all in space, like on the spaceship Demeter. And yeah, it's really fun so far.
That sounds really good. I've heard people talk about it, and I'm like, I need to
Yeah,
get to that.
it's so paced.
Ooh.
It's like you can see it almost as a movie. It's very fast paced. I have one more honorable mention that I wanted to mention. It's a bit of a stretch, but I think it fits because so it's called Brenda and Effie Mysteries by Paul Mars. His name is spelled Magrs. Um, this is for those who love like classic horror stories, the classic horror monsters, and also love cozy British mysteries.
Mhm.
It's contemporary story. You follow two old ladies who live in Whitby, which is where Dracula came ashore. Effie runs a junk shop. Brenda runs a B&B. And Brenda may or may not be the bride of Frankenstein, and she's kind of hiding her past. Um,
Interesting.
it's very fun. It's very cozy, spooky, and there's like a ton of books in this series, so that's a good one too.
Well, honestly, there's like a lot that we didn't get to because I also
Yeah,
feel like, then you get into more like gothic or like romance, like, there's a
yeah.
lot of different flavors of Dracula retellings.
Mm,
But yeah, I mean, I'm glad we did this episode. It got me to
me
pick
too.
up books that I had been meaning to get to,
Yeah,
some stuff. So this
yeah.
was fun.
It was. It was.
But let's talk chilling obsessions.
Yes.
So, what's been on your
Um.
mind, Annette?
Well, lately I have been thinking constantly about the fact that Sinners got 4 Oscars.
Yeah,
How wild is that? That
I was.
horror. Yeah.
Oh man. I mean, I was just excited to see it nominated for so much.
Right. Yeah.
My son and I did little Oscar ballots and we filled out like what we thought would win. And he put Sinners for everything. And I'm like,
All
okay.
right.
I'm like, I love your faith.
Yes.
um, I did put Michael B. Jordan for Best Actor, so I was so excited that he
Oh
won. I
yeah.
cried. I fully
Yeah.
cried. Uh, when
He was completely shook when he heard his name. He just went like blank.
Yeah, and he, like, looked at his mom, and his
Yeah,
mom
I
was like,
know.
"Go up there." Like, oh my gosh, I can't.
Oh, it's so great.
Sometimes when I'm in an emotional mood, I really will just watch people, like, winning Grammys or
Me
Academy
too.
Awards and cry.
Oh, yeah, me too. Oh, it's the best. Me too. I'm glad to hear I'm not the
Yeah.
only one. Oh, and like how he said I felt like it was so fitting with Sinners, like the story. He thanked all these people and then he said like his own ancestors.
Yeah,
It's like things like that, and that's exactly what this like what
yeah,
Sinners deals with, like belonging and what you came from and like what you inherit.
yeah,
Amazing. And seeing that photo of the 4 winners, Michael B. Jordan and the director for best screenplay, and then Ludwig Göransson, who made the score and also the best cinematography. Oh my god, this is a horror movie, and it's like the best film from last year, and it got 4 Oscars. I think that's amazing.
yeah, and I know you have it on this list, but another one I had on my Oscar ballot that I was right about,
Yeah.
Amy Madigan won
Oh,
for Best Supporting Actress.
she was terrifying in that film. I'm so glad she got recognized for that.
Oh my gosh, she was so terrifying. But there was another one where she was sitting next to her husband, Ed Harris, and
Hmm.
she looks shocked,
Yeah,
and he looks at her like,
of
"Obviously, you
course.
were gonna
Yeah, yeah,
win.
exactly.
Come on, girl,
Yeah,
get up there."
of course you got this. Yeah. Oh,
Oh,
I know. That's one I had to watch a few times too
yeah.
because I thought it was so moving. And I love how she cackled when she got the little golden guy. Like she
The
cackled like a witch because she was like so overwhelmed and had such a good time. That
when
was
she won the
amazing.
Golden Globe, did you see she did the run? She, like, put her
Oh
arms
my god,
back and
no, I
ran up.
didn't. I didn't see that.
Yeah, it wasn't I don't think
Ah!
she didn't do it for the Academy Awards, but she won the Golden Globe for it, and she,
Right.
like, ran up the aisle with her
That's hysterical.
her arms behind her.
And also, I think Frankenstein. Yeah, Frankenstein got Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein got 3 Oscars.
Yeah,
Oscars.
those were on my Oscar ballot.
Cool.
Well, I didn't put it for production design, and I should have. I put Hamnet for
Yeah.
production design,
Okay.
but it won. Yeah, like hair and makeup and costuming, which I knew, and because it
Yeah.
absolutely deserved that. All
Really
the
had to. Yeah. And also, I'd like to mention The Ugly Stepsister, which is a
yeah,
Norwegian film. They got nominated for hair and makeup, and that was
yeah,
also a huge thing over here. It got really celebrated.
like
And
yeah.
I mean,
Someone
yeah.
commented that, or like they messaged me. They're like, also, would like to point out the ugly stepsister. It's right, yeah.
Cool. It's a great time for horror.
Yeah. I mean, the effects in that were incredible.
I
So,
actually haven't seen it yet. Did you like it?
it's intense. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Annette, what is your final girl song?
Mm. So, like for the last like 6 months, I've been on and off listening a lot to Youngblood. Like after I saw him do Changes. Did you see that performance where
I think you sent
he
it to me,
changed?
yeah.
Yeah, probably did. Yeah, I was obsessed with that. But he has this intensity and this rawness to his voice and to his lyrics that I really enjoy. So I feel like his song "Hello Heaven, Hello" has this vibe of like survival, about making choices and getting back up when things are hard. Um, and I really like this bit where he says, like in the lyrics, he says, "So tell me, are you gonna die with the lies that they force inside your head?" And it's like this, like I can just see, like for me, that's essentially a final girl thinking, like, am I gonna die after all this abuse from
Yeah.
the slasher? And there are so many ways of like fighting back in your real life, but also, yeah, from the point of view of final girl, I feel like this is a fitting song.
Oh, yeah. It sounds like it. All right. I will be putting that in the playlist. Right, Annette, thank you so much for coming on here and talking to me about Dracula.
Oh, thank you. This is so much fun.
Yeah, where can people find you online?
I'm on Instagram at ambuilder. That's AMBILDER.
And you are posting a lot of fun, like vampire stuff, but not only vampire stuff.
No, that's true. Like a little mix, but a lot of vampire stuff.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
There is going to be that.
There will be. Yeah.
Books in the Freezer is a bi weekly podcast. We post episodes every other Tuesday. You can find us on Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and TikTok at Books in the Freezer. If you would like to support the podcast, consider becoming a member of our Patreon community at patreon.com/booksinthefreezer, where there are 3 tiers of support with a lot of fun perks like bonus episodes, early release episodes, newsletters, etc. And again, that is at patreon.com/booksinthefreezer. I have been your host, Stephanie Gagne. Thank you so much for listening, and see you next time on Books in the Freezer.